A long, long time ago, at the edge of a vast green forest, lived a poor woodcutter and his small family. The woodcutter had two beautiful children, a boy named Ayan and a girl named Tuli. Their smiles were as bright as the morning sun, and their hearts were pure. Although their small wooden hut by the forest looked lovely and neat, poverty was their constant companion. The cupboards were often empty of food. One early morning, the woodcutter sat at his wooden table, head in his hands, lost in deep thought. Despair was written all over his face. Beside him, his wife,
You
Ayan
will
and
obey
Tuli's
me!
stepmother, paced across the room, shouting, "There isn't a single grain of bread left. We cannot feed everyone." The cruel stepmother told the woodcutter, "It is no longer possible to feed them. Tomorrow at dawn, we must take them deep into the forest and leave them there." The poor woodcutter couldn't agree to this, but he was forced to give in to his wife's stubbornness. In the next room, Ayan and Tuli were awake. They heard every cruel word the stepmother said. Terrified,
Don't worry,
little
I've got
Tuli
you.
wiped her eyes
Everything
with her
will be
scarf
okay.
and wept. "Brother, will tigers
Don't
eat us
worry,
in the forest?"
I've got you.
Ayan
Everything
gave his
will be
sister
okay.
courage, saying, "Don't be afraid, sister. I have an idea." Ayan waited until the moon rose. Then he quietly went to the garden and filled his pockets with shiny white pebbles. In the moonlight, the stones sparkled like diamonds. The next morning, at dawn, the stepmother woke them up, gave them each a piece of dry bread, and said, "Come, today we will go to the forest to cut wood." The family started walking along the winding forest path. Unnoticed by everyone, Ayan dropped a white pebble on the road every so often. He knew these stones would show them the way home. Reaching deep into the forest, the father said, "You wait here, we're going to cut wood." But evening passed and night fell. No one returned. Tuli cried in fear. Then Ayan said, "Tuli, look at the ground." The white pebbles glowed in the moonlight, showing them the path home. Holding hands, the brother and sister followed the stones and returned to their hut by dawn. The woodcutter wept tears of joy upon hugging his children, but the stepmother was secretly furious. A few days later, food ran short again. This time, the stepmother was even harsher. She locked the door at night so Ayan couldn't gather stones. The next morning, on the way to the forest, finding no other way, Ayan crumbled his share of the bread and scattered it on the road. They went deeper into the forest, where the trees were huge and ancient. After their parents left them, Ayan and Tuli waited for the moonlight. But alas, when the moon rose, Ayan saw no breadcrumbs on the road. The hungry birds of the forest had eaten them all. "Oh God, how will we find the way now?" Tuli said in despair. Trying to find the path, they got lost even deeper in the jungle. Tired and hungry, they fell asleep under a tree. Friends, Ayan and Tuli are now completely lost in the deep jungle. Does a terrible danger await them ahead, or some magical wonder?
Waiting for
Before we
magic?
get to that thrilling part of the story, let me remind you, our channel is running a magical 30-day challenge. We are bringing you new stories every day. Those of you who haven't become members of our family yet, subscribe to the HF Binodan channel right now. And yes, if you like this adventure of Ayan and Tuli, definitely like the video and share it with your friends. Let's go and see what fate has in store for them. The next morning, a beautiful white bird woke them up. Singing, the bird flew ahead, showing them the way. Following the bird, they reached a sunny, clear clearing and stopped in amazement. There stood the strangest and most delicious house in the world. The house was made entirely of chocolate, cake, and biscuits. The walls were gingerbread, the roof was vanilla cake decorated with colorful cream, and the windows were made of clear sugar. The huge bar of the door was dark chocolate. The hungry siblings didn't wait and jumped on the house. Ayan broke a piece of cake from the roof, and Tuli started chewing on the window glass. Suddenly, with a creaking sound, the chocolate door opened, An extremely old woman came out from inside. She had a strange, sly smile in her eyes. The old woman said sweetly, "Oh, my children, you are very hungry, aren't you? Come inside. I have kept pancakes, apples, and warm milk for you." Inside, they saw soft beds and delicious food. They thought they had arrived in heaven, but they didn't know that this old woman was actually a wicked witch. She fattens up children and then cooks them and eats them. The next morning, the witch's true form was revealed. She dragged Ayan and locked him in an iron cage. She forced Tuli to do all the housework. The witch shouted, "You must feed your brother and make him fat so I can eat him." Weeping, Tuli cooked lots of food for her brother every day. The witch's eyesight was very bad. Every day, she would squeeze Ayan's finger to see if he had gotten fat. But clever Ayan would hold out a chicken bone to the witch after eating. Touching the bone, the blind witch thought Ayan was still very thin. Annoyed, she would say, "Ah, why are you still so thin?" Weeks passed like this. Finally, the witch couldn't have patience anymore. She decided that however Ayan was, she would eat him today. She ordered Tuli, "Light the fire in the oven and heat water in the big cauldron." Tuli understood the witch would kill them today. The witch went to the oven and said, "Let me see if the fire is burning properly. I can't get in, you crawl in and check." Showing her wit, Tuli said, "I don't understand how to get in. The opening is too small." The foolish witch got angry and said, "Move away. Watch how I get in." As soon as the witch put her head and body into the oven, Tuli pushed her with all her might into the oven and slammed the iron door shut. The witch started screaming inside, but she couldn't get out. Tuli ran and unlocked Ayan's cage. "Brother, we're free. The witch is finished." The two siblings danced in joy. Before leaving, they saw large chests filled with pearls, diamonds, and gold coins in the witch's room. Ayan said, "These are even more valuable than those pebbles." They filled their pockets and scarves with that treasure trove and ran towards the forest path. After going some distance, they saw a large river, but there was no boat. Suddenly, they saw a large white swan swimming. Tuli called out, "Oh, friend swan, will you help us cross?" The kind swan carried them across the river one by one on its back. Thanking the swan, they started running and soon saw their father's hut. Opening the door and seeing their father, they jumped on him. The father hugged them and broke down in tears. He informed them that the cruel stepmother had left. Now there was no fear. Ayan and Tuli poured the diamonds and jewels from their pockets onto the floor. Seeing that wealth, the woodcutter's eyes widened in disbelief. Their days of sorrow were over forever. From then on, they lived happily ever after. Friends, how did you like this story of Ayan and Tuli's bravery and intelligence? If you liked the story, don't forget to give it a like. And subscribe to our HF Binodan channel and ring the bell icon so that you can hear tomorrow's new story first. Thank you, everyone.